Welcome back to the Makers of Mid-City podcast. I'm your host, Clark Dunn.
And I'm Nadia Niakasri. I'm the Senior Director of Development for RCP Companies. We're the developers behind MidCity District.
Yeah, and so today's episode is talking a little bit about what 2025 had. 2025 was a big year. A lot of announcements, a lot of things happened within the district. And so we're recording this at the beginning of 2026, kind of giving you a little bit of a rear view mirror looking of, hey, here's what 2025 had to offer. Here's what's coming ahead. And so I guess to get us started, a big thing of conversation with a district like this is talking a little bit about the retail that was being leased in 2025. Kick us off, Nadia, and talk a little bit about some of those numbers, and then we'll kind of dive into some of the actual tenants themselves.
Yeah. When we think about what happened in MidCity in 2025, it's just a lot of wins, a lot of announcements, and it's really a story about intentional growth. It's about creating places that give Huntsville reasons to stay, invest, and believe in what the city is becoming. It's really a reflection of also how the city of Huntsville has grown with how much has happened throughout the market, with big projects being announced like Eli Lilly and FBI expanding. One of those big things at MidCity was the retail momentum. We leased over 40,000 square feet of retail space within MidCity District in 2025. And that's a great signal of momentum, was the retail.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible because more and more areas and more pockets of the district itself have begun to sort of kind of gain its own little footing of like having its there's so much space there, and you kind of have this, over 2025, we saw some of these pockets start to get developed, and I think we're going to see more of that going into 2026. Kind of looking at 2026 and kind of what some of that new retail, some of the restaurants that maybe people could have seen, maybe put a sign up in 2025, but maybe really came to fruition, and we'll see come to fruition in 2026.
Yeah, that type of retail momentum doesn't happen unless brands really believe in a market. They believe in the vision of the district and the long-term fundamentals of Huntsville and growing with the city. So, we have a list of great tenants that we announced in 2025. One that you'll see their doors opening within the next few weeks as we're recording this podcast is Dragon Alley, right at that gateway of MidCity Drive, facing University Drive, Dragon Alley and Dragon Bow. New Asian street food concept that was created by some of the people that behind some of your beloved local restaurants: Komodo Ramen, Tula Jour, Chop and Fresh, Luna's, Providence Bar. Same people who behind those great local restaurants are opening up Dragon Alley and Dragon Bow in MidCity. Another one that will also welcome this year is Floriana's. Floriana's is a family-owned Italian restaurant based in Washington, D.C. They're taking one of my favorite spaces in the district, which is the NOLA building corner. It's this great New Orleans architecture that has a 2-story all brick facade. Second story has this great wraparound iron balcony. It's going to be an 8,000 square foot, 2-story, gorgeous restaurant right on the corner of MidCity Drive and Stack Street. So 2 awesome new restaurants that'll open this year. Another one would be Franklin Spice Works, that if they haven't opened by the time that this, I think that they either opened last weekend or they're about to open. They are a small business of spices, rubs, salts, seasonings, and more. They're from Franklin, Tennessee. I tried their ghost pepper salt last week, and it was incredible.
Yeah, and I think the combo of like its location and proximity to Blue Oak too, with all that, I think there's a lot of synergy that doesn't happen by happenstance. I think y'all obviously plan kind of how the consumer of MidCity would kind of traverse through MidCity and what they should see when they should see it. And I think it's all coming. This plan is all coming to kind of is coming not to completion, but it's beginning to start to have its own little life.
Co-tenancy, right? Co-tenancy is big in a district like this. We're only about 30% of the way done with MidCity, so we definitely want our tenants to feed off of each other and the different types of tenants and clients and customers that they'll bring. And one of those added layers that we'll add this year is fitness. So each of the communities, the multifamily communities in MidCity, have their own gyms, of course, but we're introducing two new fitness concepts this year. One is GF Fitness, which is a 24,000 square foot open gym that'll also offer your type of group fitness classes. And then we also have a group fitness studio called X4 Fitness. That's a high intensity, what's it called? The different stations that you'll do with like cardio and weight training and the rowers. And that's a great Birmingham based fitness concept that'll be added this year. And then one of the last layers that we'll add this year, some great new bars. We'll have some spaces for people to frequent before and after work, before and after concerts. So 3 great bars added to the roster. We have MidCity Bar, which is same people as Dragon Alley, same people behind Providence Bar in Providence. And then we have the Indy that'll open in the Indigo Hotel. And then one that's dear to my heart is the Perseus Sound Bar. We teased this a little bit this time last year, and like, everything does in this industry, it took a little bit longer than expected. But we're putting our final touches on that space. We're excited to introduce that type of environment and concept to Huntsville. It's a collaboration we're doing with Nick Quinn, who is a local restaurateur and a self-proclaimed vinyl head himself. He won't tell you he has like 300 whatever type of vinyls in his house. And so we'll be open in the mornings for coffee and for intimate meetings, and days you just want to work from a cozy space with some good tunes in the background. And then at night, the big velvet curtains will close up for a more sexy, loungy experience, serving up good cocktails and Mediterranean tapas in a high fidelity experience. So the acoustics in the space are just incredible. And we'll host all sorts of different types of music programming and events in that space. So look forward to that grand opening and hopefully Q1 of this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see kind of these different elements and these new additions to MidCity. And I think there's so much, especially like with the different bar scenes, the cocktail lounges, these like the concept of Perseus, other big cities like Miami has one. And so it's really cool to kind of see these things.
Just opened one. Yeah. The bar concept is a Japanese inspired concept that's kind of taking over right now. It's a new introduced kind of place where it's a good third space. People talk about third spaces all the time. Where is that place that you go and hang out? That's not work. That's not your home. And with the culture kind of shifting right now, these vinyl bars are a great new social spot. So I think Huntsville will really take to it, and it'll be a really cool new space for the community.
Yeah, and so we talked a lot about some of the things people can start to see in 2026, which, I mean, the list is exciting. The list will continue to grow throughout the year, and so definitely stay up to date with RCP and what's going on, because there's always announcements happening beyond just this podcast. But now kind of transitioning into 2025, what were some of the projects that we delivered on in MidCity in 2025? There were some big developments, some multifamily options, some cool concepts that really haven't even been seen throughout anywhere in the state. So talk a little bit about some of those projects.
Yeah, in 2025, we opened up a couple doors. Bank Independent opened up their new office space right behind Trader Joe's and on that out parcel. We opened Fifth Third Bank, which is a new to market bank. We opened our RCP headquarters in a space underneath Metronome, and then we opened up the Artemis Pavilion, which is a great new event space that's like the very first piece of the new camp and where the camp will be relocated. And then 2 big projects that were delivered last year were $200 million projects that we really started a couple years ago, and both opened their doors in Q4 of 2025. So Anthem House is a 330 unit multifamily hospitality, really truly mixed use building with retail on the ground floor, and that's where Perseus is on the corner, right next to the front doors of Anthem House. And then you have another 30,000 square feet of retail lining MidCity Drive. Then you have office space, about 35,000 square feet of office space on the second floor, and then 330 units above. And these are really micro units. So an interesting new concept for Huntsville, where half of these units are fully furnished and operate more like a hotel room than your traditional multifamily. So it's for that corporate worker who comes to Huntsville for weeks, months at a time. We know that there's a lot of corporate travel that comes through Huntsville. It's really hard to find a hotel room Monday through Thursday when in Huntsville, especially during these different aerospace and defense conferences. And so this is really something where people can stay in an apartment style space with hotel-like amenities. And then the other one is Wellery Living. And Wellery Living is a gorgeous net zero multifamily building. The interiors were all designed. It feels like a wellness spa in there. The fitness is incredible. An indoor outdoor gym, 2 courtyards, one with a pool, and it has an infrared sauna. It has a yoga room, and really the big wow moment of this project is that the roof is lined with a solar panel system that generates energy for all the common areas and the amenities of the building, with the goal of being net zero in the future. So we're working with Huntsville Utilities to make that one step forward in energy conservation in Huntsville by introducing a net zero multifamily project to Huntsville.
Yeah, I mean those two projects. We will hopefully we'll have a future episode come out where I sat down with David Wilson of RCP, and we kind of dove into talking a little bit about those particular projects and just how the uniqueness of it with projects with announcements like Eli Lilly for with them coming. You know, the Anthem House plays a huge role in that. All the developments with Mazda, Toyota, and all the other manufacturing in that area, and the location and proximity that it has to get to 565, to get to Athens, to get to Limestone County, is just perfect. And so I think that Anthem House is such a cool project. I think it's an incredible just to see that added layer of hospitality that, you know, has never been seen really throughout the whole state. Kind of now sort of the transition. I mean, a big part of MidCity and a big
before we
yeah.
transition to the next point, I want to say that, you know, part of the multifamily projects within Huntsville, the communities within MidCity, we really want to create an experience that helps with that workforce recruitment that we always talk about. So how do people want to live that we're trying to recruit to fill all these jobs that are coming for Eli Lilly, that are coming for Mazda, Toyota? They're coming from markets that are more urban and walkable, that they can just walk out of their front door and walk to their Trader Joe's, walk their dog in a park. And so that within Anthem House, between Anthem House and Wellery, that's another 600 units that we delivered in 2025. So altogether, we have about 1,200 units that are right there in the district. And that's about, you know, say 1,500 people that are frequenting all these businesses, that are grocery shopping, and that are going to the parks and enjoying like a true walkable district in Huntsville.
Yeah, and that level of multifamily, there's a lot of the things we talked about a second ago of what you can see in 2026 happens because of this multifamily growth in the district. And a big part of the things that they get to walk to and they get to enjoy is the Orion Amphitheater, which had a pretty incredible year in 2025 as well. Talk a little about some of those highlights and kind of what they saw and how that impacted the district.
Yeah, the Orion had a fantastic 2025 year and season. They celebrated their 100th show. They opened their doors in 2022, and this past July celebrated their 100th show with none other than Mumford Sons. So that was a big moment, a big milestone for TVG and for the city of Huntsville and for the Orion teams. And especially for Ben Lovett, who was really one of the brains behind the design of the Orion. And so for him to be able to celebrate the 100th show at the venue that he designed with the band that he's in, Mumford and Sons, it was a 2-night run, an awesome weekend within the district. And so that was a great moment, a great milestone for the Orion. And between all the shows in 2025, they welcomed over 165,000 guests. That's from over 2,200 cities, all 50 states, and 23 countries around the world that came to Huntsville, Alabama to enjoy a concert. That was between 116 great events, 30 big concerts, and we know that TBG is great at those community programming and festivals that they do between the concerts, and they did 86 of those community and cultural events in 2025. So for their 4th season, they were recognized both locally and internationally. They were named Huntsville's best music venue. They were named Alabama Magazine's Best of Bama Award for Best Amphitheater. Polestar mid-year report, they got number 10 out of 50 amphitheaters worldwide. Ticket sales and number 9 out of 50 amphitheaters worldwide of their gross sales. And they're just racking up those accolades and those awards.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible because they've really dove into the Huntsville community too. Like you said, some of those events that aren't just the concerts like people think about when they think about the amphitheater, but it's how do you program this amphitheater to do events for the community, to do something when it's not peak concert season. And that's a big part of sort of the programming and the mindset around the events that happen at MidCity. Talk a little bit about some of those. I mean, right around this time last year, we kind of announced the Apollo Coalition. And that's a huge part of MidCity and kind of everything that's going on. But then it kind of transitions into some of the other events and programming that is gone on around the district.
Yeah, we have an incredible team. Half of our team at RECP is dedicated to really activating and programming the district all year round. We in 2025, we did everything from, Mardi Gras MidCity that is about to kick off in the next couple weeks again. Of course, we do our market at MidCity every Sunday between March and November. We introduced MidCity Stroller Club, which has been a hit, and we've seen a lot of different other districts and neighborhoods in the city kind of pick up that event and make it their own, which has been cool to see. We did the Crawfish Festival, which will be back this year. Camp to Amp will be back this year. As the district grows, you really saw a lot of these events being held at the north side of the district where most of the things were built. And we're starting to kind of bleed those festivals and those events into the center of the district and use more of the spaces that are built out as more and more gets built out throughout the years. So we're going to be hosting a great MidCity 5K this year in June. That'll take up the entire Apollo Park and run through the 140-acre district. We'll do another big 4th of July. We moved, Whistle Stop came over to MidCity in the last couple of years, and we've been hosting them at MidCity. And then we always end the year with Camp Christmas, big Christmas pop-up bar. We do our Halloween pop-up bar. We do it all. So there's never a dull moment between all the different festivals and then the events and programming and music that we have in between. Placer AI showed that in the last 12 months, we attracted 5.8 million visits to MidCity, and that's with an average dwell time of an hour and a half. So those are some really good numbers for only.
Yeah. And the numbers are just going to get long. The dwell time will just get longer and longer as some of the things we've talked about for 2026 come to fruition. And we start seeing this become and we talked about it on some of the very first podcasts, and we continue to talk about it on a lot of the podcasts moving forward. I don't think we'll be a broken record as far as this conversation, but that live, work, play is really coming to, be so much more clear to people that are visiting from out of town, that are coming in for a show, or that are maybe visiting family that maybe saw MidCity a couple years ago and then are going to see it again this year. It's really just going to be one of those, the front and center things. And I think the programming and the the events that are put on within the district is a huge part of that. But another big part is sort of the tech and the ability that y'all lean into, even with collaborating with music and other things like that. Talk a little bit about Generator and then kind of the East Iris collaboration that y'all have.
Yeah, this time last year, we also introduced the Apollo Coalition, which is our in-house nonprofit led by Joanna White, who, if you're from Huntsville and you don't know Joanna White, you must be living under a rock. And the Apollo Coalition, the singular mission is to build community through culture and innovation. So last year, we really did that through a number of different programs that the Apollo Coalition took and amplified. One of those being with Generator. Another great program that the Apollo Coalition took on was Next Gen Huntsville. It's a mentorship program that pairs rising talent with senior experts. So we took these incredibly smart high school students and these tech executives and gave them real hands-on experience with real life problems, and they created it through AI programs, coding, app creation, or whatever that we needed. So they actually we launched a MidCity app with Next Gen Huntsville, and this is an app that helps the tenants of MidCity communicate with the residents of MidCity, and offer different promotions or discounts to the different businesses to the people who live on site. And that's just just a bit of what the Apollo Coalition has done. We've also, done more with the farmers market. If you went to the holiday market this year, you saw that it really went down MidCity Drive, and it'll just start growing that way and flourishing as we really build out the south side of the district.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's those pillars that RCP has that MidCity is kind of promoting, looking at the music, looking at the tech, looking at the entrepreneurship, and kind of how these things all work hand in hand together. We've been able to highlight a variety of these different pillars on the podcast over the years, and a big part of it too, and I think people can see it as the MidCity continues to grow and expand, is the way that art is included into the district. And one of the biggest installations is currently being done or is just finished. Talk a little bit about that and kind of how RCP continues to look at art and continues to look at local artists and how they can integrate it into the district and kind of continue that flow, because art does play a huge role in kind of connecting these pockets that we've talked about.
Yeah, art and music really is one of the key layers within MidCity. Art. We just finished that massive mural that faces University Drive, and now we have our own billboard facing one of the busiest corridors in the Huntsville market. It's an incredible mural on the face of the parking garage of Wellery, done by Christian Stanley. If you look him up on Instagram, he did some awesome videos of the entire process. And it's a great mural that reflects the sustainability and net zero measures that Wellery is taking on. And then we have a bunch of other cute little murals that are popping up around the district. So I encourage our listeners to take a drive around the district if they haven't in the last couple of months, and see if they see the new little murals. One thing I did forget to mention that is one of the coolest things that we did in 2025 is our partnership with East Iris Studios. You said it already, and I forgot to harp on it. But this was a partnership that we did with Universal Music Group and the Huntsville Music Office. Great new article that just came out on Fast Company about this collaboration and about how Huntsville and Nashville are collaborating to really take the next generation of talent and artists and give them platforms, give them spaces, give them tour routes to really influence their careers. Put them in rooms where record labels are, and tools that they may not have access to. So we've been taking our Huntsville artists up to Nashville at East Iris Studios for these live nights, and then vice versa. Nashville's been bringing their East Iris artists down to the camp and performing for the Huntsville audience. And in 2026, we're going to take it a little more regional, take them to Chattanooga and Birmingham and start an artist development tour route with East Irish Studios. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think as a lot of these things continue, the this pavilion and all the different kind of the movement of the camp and all of this stuff. I mean, it's going to continue to allow this collaboration with Nashville, with East Iris, to continue to develop and continue to expand. I feel like we're going to see it. There will be a point, and maybe even in 2026, where these different cities that are going to be a part of this collaboration are going to then come to MidCity and kind of have a, maybe it's a long weekend music fest, maybe it's or whatever it might be. And I think it's going to be really cool. And I think it plays a huge role into everything that's already being done. We have two big sort of announcements that have happened in 2025. That'll be really seeing some dirt moving and some things happening in 2026. Before we get into that, is there anything else in 2025 that you would like to address, talk a little bit about that maybe we had missed before we dive into these last two topics?
I'm sure there's something that I missed. This is 2025 was a big year of openings, big year of announcements, and that's kind of where we're headed right now. Is these next two big announcements that we talked about, especially towards the end of the year, that you'll see some movement on in 2026. So one of those is the Old Monrovia renovation. That news came out. Gosh, when was that? Maybe
it was like Q3, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, like September or something.
Yeah.
The city of Huntsville is doing a what we call in our industry a road diet to take that unnecessarily 5-lane road that Old Monrovia is, really shrink it down to 2 lanes, add a landscaped median in the center and some street parking on either side, and then a linear park on the edge between Old Monrovia and the Plaza Shopping Center. And that'll really connect MidCity District and the Plaza, and will help all these businesses in the district thrive, will help slow down traffic. Those 5 lanes were designed to move cars through at a fast rate when the mall was there and it was Black Friday and there was a ton of traffic. But we want to create a better experience for the pedestrians to be able to get from one side of the district to the other and really help support all those businesses there. So you'll see some dirt moving on that in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, I think that development is something that I think we've talked about for so long. And I think, with the collaboration that y'all have with that plaza and just kind of the synergy it is within MidCity and with the events that y'all do, the events that Orion does, I mean, there's already people kind of traversing to that end anyway. And so why not make it a little bit of a safer commute? Why not make it a little bit easier on everyone? And it also kind of creates this whole different landscape that people in Huntsville are not going to be used to seeing. And like when I picture that area, I picture it like what it was when I was growing up. Yeah. And it's not going to look like that. It's going to really create this cool atmosphere, this cool scene that's really going to then tie directly into that mural, directly into everything else going on within the district.
Yeah, that's right. And then last but not least is what we announced right before the holidays is the next big phase of MidCity District. This is a new $300 million expansion on the entire southern sub-district of MidCity. Really anchored by the Orion on the west, and then where the camp will be relocated on the east, down Sanderson Road, and has a bunch of different pieces to it, which includes a 3,000 capacity venue, 2 hotels, which includes a 200 key music branded hotel, and then the innovation hub with the Apollo Coalition, and even more 40,000 square feet of new retail, restaurant, and entertainment space. So the first thing you'll start seeing moved is the camp, where, that's a beloved community hub at this point that we stood up in 2017 now. It was 2017 when we opened the doors of the camp. And it's MidCity's beloved community gathering space. It's where people have made it their own type of venue. So this has always been part of the plan of MidCities to relocate the camp and make it the district's living room as the district grew. So you'll start seeing that this year with a bigger, more expanded version, Camp 2.0, but a lot of the same elements that you know and love of the original camp. Another one is the 3,000 capacity venue.
Yeah.
We know and love the Orion Amphitheater, and their fourth season was a big hit. And the Orion holds 8,000. It's an 8,000 capacity amphitheater, but we're really missing that level of artists whose audience size really ebbs and flows over time. So those that are climbing up the ladder and becoming bigger and bigger to get to that 8,000 capacity, or artists who are maybe coming back down the ladder and going over more tenures. So that mid-sized venue really helps Huntsville host talent at every stage of their career, and it helps with us building a sustainable local music economy, and makes Huntsville a tour stop when they're coming through these larger markets in this region.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it on previous episodes, but that experience that some artists have had, maybe playing at the camp to then opening up for someone that's played at the Orion, with this other venue, it kind of allows that transition to happen, where people are going to come early in their career, they're going to play at this venue, they're going to still be a huge hit, and they're going to have an amazing time. They're going to be able to dive into what the district is doing. And then we're going to see them again the next year playing at the Orion, or we're going to see them at the next year playing at whatever the venue may be in Huntsville. And I think it's just a good stepping stone to see. And I think what's interesting too, and you can maybe talk a little bit about it, this $300 million announcement, y'all often look at other cities and kind of how they blend entertainment with food and beverage and all of these things. And that corridor that we're talking about has sort of y'all looked at a particular location to kind of say, hey, maybe we're not going to do that exactly, but we're going to use that as sort of the vision of what this could be. Talk a little bit about kind of how y'all look at other locations with something like this, because it is such a huge undertaking.
Yeah, when you look at a mixed use environment, you want all the pieces to work with each other. You want a venue only really when you think of like venues that last 20 years versus venues that last 50 years, what stands out with those venues? One thing that stands out for me is the architecture itself, the types of venues that are really one of one, and the Orion Amphitheater is that. The second is the overall experience that you get when you go to a show. That's why MidCity has the Orion there in the city is because it was designed where people can come to a show, hang out before. If they don't have a ticket, there's plenty of activity and excitement going on throughout the district, and then people are there to hang out after the show ends at 11 p.m. It really is a multi-hour experience rather than a venue where you get in the car, go to the concert, and get in the car and go home after. You see that trending in the industry where districts are forming around not only music venues but also sports arenas as well, sports complexes, arenas, and people are really trying to amplify that dwell time, create an overall experience for the user, for the guest of that concert or game or wherever they're going. We were featured in ICSC's list of top mixed use developments that are happening across the country, and you see that that none of them are monolithic uses. They're all just districts like MidCity that are designed to keep people in one space.
And I think too, with this development, this $300 million announcement, not only is it affecting those that, maybe are coming from out of state to come to a show or come to MidCity or visiting or whatever it might be, but I also think of like the local, like I'm excited as a local Huntsville native to be able to go to MidCity, stay at one of the hotels, be in that corridor, kind of live, work, and play as if this is my home, and then be able to drive, 10 minutes actually home and like have this experience. And I think more and more people that are listening to this, as you are out visiting maybe in other parts of the country, other states, and you're going to shows or sporting events, I think you'll start to pick up on that. And I think that's one thing that I always look at as we're traveling and we're going to different shows or going to different events, is how they really strategically do place that. And I think Mid-City is in the perfect spot for that. I mean, 2025 was incredible.
Yeah.
2026 is off to a pretty great start. We're recording this the end of January. And there's a lot going to be happening in the next few weeks, really post recording some of these announcements. If you're listening to this, more than likely as some of those announcements, you can actually go visit those places that we talked about as of this release. But I mean, I think, this is a podcast topic that will be on the agenda every year because there's so much happening. And with 142 acres, you can't not do a recap each year. But before we wrap up, is there anything else? Or we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes, links to everything, any of the articles we talked about, this announcement, the Old Monrovia development. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate the conversation. I think,
Great. We're doing another good year.
We could be here for another half an hour, but I think we've covered it pretty well, and we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes.
Thanks, Clark.